Hello and welcome. You're listening to CIH Futures Guide to the Housing Sector. Futures is the Chartered Institute of Housing's network for young professionals in the housing sector. In this podcast series, we introduce and explore key topics and issues facing the sector today and how you can get involved. To find out more about Futures and what the CIH can do for you, you can visit cih.org.
Hello and welcome to the CIH Futures podcast. I'm Sophie from CIH Futures. In this episode, we're exploring what a day in the life of a mental health first aider looks like with our guests Acacia and Patrick. This episode is a special one-off for Mental Health Awareness Week, and so although not a strict full-time role in housing, the role of a mental health first aider is an important one within our sector. So let's jump in and find out more. Firstly, hello to both Acacia and Patrick. Thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast with us this week. First question to you both is what motivated you to become a mental health first aider, and what was the training like, and would you say it prepared you well for the role? So we'll start with you, Patrick.
Thanks for having me. In terms of being a mental health first aider, I think for me particularly it's quite personal because I've had mental health breakdowns in the past, and for me I just thought it'll be a great way of being able to support others in a more kind of soft touch way. Of course, I'm not a therapist, I'm not medically trained to do that work, but in my work as a in-house and where I do a lot of community engagement work, I do a lot of resident engagement work and working directly with residents, you do often speak to people that are going through difficult times in their lives, and just having those tools to navigate it and just being able to say the right things. Once again, not trying to solve their problems and trying to solve what they're going through, but just trying to steer it in the right direction of maybe looking for professional support, or sometimes just being a listening ear, and that can go a long way of just being able to listen and ask the right questions. So for me, it was personal, but also I know the importance of being able to support residents in this kind of field. So yeah, that's the reason for me.
Yeah. So would you say that your personal experience has helped you in the role as a mental health first aider?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I know at the time when I was having my mental health issues, I know personally speaking, if I had someone that did ask me the question of how am I feeling or how am I really feeling, and trying to get that out of me, I know that would have gone a long way. And also I know that just speaking to residents on a day-to-day, I mean, life is so stressful, from financially to this physical stuff as well that people are going through, but also just the general day-to-day life stresses that sometimes you can speak to someone and they generally kind of blow up at you, and it's not your fault. It's just that unfortunately that's the straw that broke the camel's back. So yeah, it has definitely given me that good insight of just understanding you never know what someone's going through really, and just trying to be open and supporting. Yeah,
it's important to remember that as well. Thank you, Patrick. And what about yourself, Acacia?
Similar to Patrick really. I was personally motivated to do this because I have experienced depression in the past. I had postnatal depression after having my second child, and that was one of the strangest, most isolating, lonely times that I've been through. So when the opportunity to came up to do the training, I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, if I can help one person who's maybe feeling like they don't know who to speak to, then it's going to be worth doing it. So yeah, it's quite nice to be able to learn the skills and the approach in a structured way so that you can give back a bit of support when it's needed. Yeah.
Okay, what was the training like? What kind of training was it that you received, and did it prepare you for the types of conversations that you have with people?
for me, I thought the training was really, really helpful. It was about a group of, gosh, what was the cohort? It was about 10 or so other colleagues at the time where I worked in local council, local authority. And yeah, it was obviously very kind of difficult times in terms of the topics that we're speaking about, everything from, of course, suicide and really difficult conversations that you probably wouldn't usually have in the workplace. But I thought was really, yeah, a really important way of kind of openly speaking about kind of real life things that people have been going through. And actually, funnily enough, I think the week after I completed the training, I got my lanyard. I thought, yep, I'm a mental health first aid. I'm ready to go out and support people if anything comes up. And then I literally had an incident of someone kind of openly talking about their depression and the suicidal thoughts they've had in the past, and talking about a difficult time they were going through right now, and how it's triggering those things. And I generally thought, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not ready for this because it's so immediate after my training. But of course, I kind of went back into the things they taught me during that training, and
Yeah.
obviously it was good timing. But yeah, you just never know when someone might come up to you and speak to you about really personal things. So it's yeah, I thought it was really helpful and really, really insightful as well.
Okay, thank you. So talking about some of the situations that you have maybe been in as a mental health first aider, are you able to talk us through the types of situations where someone might reach out to you, obviously within the working environment, and what skills or personal qualities do you hold that help you in those situations? We'll start with you, Acacia.
Yeah, so my capacity as a mental health first aider is really to be there for colleagues. So people that might approach me would be staff from around the organisation, and it could be absolutely anything. The training does prepare you to deal with, the whole kind of scope of, mental ill health or crises, through to very serious mental health crisis situations where that person might be, experiencing it for the first time, and not even really recognize or know what's going on for themselves. But more often than not, it will be someone reaching out because they're feeling low, they're struggling in some way, possibly they're overwhelmed, they just need some human contact. Potentially, they may not feel like they want to speak to a manager about it, for whatever reason. They want someone that's a bit more impartial. So yeah, there's quite often conversations around the common types of mental ill health. So anxiety, stress, work-related stress, depression, those sorts of things, which I'm sure everyone here and most listeners would be able to relate to that in some way.
Of course, yeah. Patrick, do you have anything to add at all?
Yeah, I guess for me it's slightly different. So not so much on a kind of staff and internal kind of way. In my case, it's been more so working with residents. My work is a lot within resident engagement and community development, service improvement as well. So a lot of that, of course, is really speaking to residents. It could be in focus groups, workshops, and different kind of manners as well. So yeah, for what I've found, it's kind of, if you are speaking to someone about maybe issues that have gone on in their home, it could be repair related or antisocial behavior or something like that. Sometimes it brings up different things that have happened in their lives, or sometimes you, of course, naturally you're trying to build a relationship, and when you do and people get comfortable speaking to you over time, also that brings up things that people just feel comfortable speaking to you about. And of course, it's important to obviously listen, in a non-judgmental way. I've spoken to residents for everything from going to, being alcoholic and kind of going through that and not escaping, but recovering from that, to residents feeling like they've talked about things that happened in the childhood and how it relates to how they are now. And it's you just never know. But I think for me that the training really brought up for me the kind of listening in a non-judgmental way and giving people that space to really speak. I think that's probably the key thing that's ingrained in my head when I think about the training.
Yeah, and I suppose everybody has mental health, so everybody's mental health and their experience is different. So I suppose it is about being prepared for all types of conversations and situations that you might get when people come forward to speak with you.
Yeah, and I would definitely echo what Patrick says about, listening and being non-judgmental. And I think the quality that I have found useful is a bit of patience and giving people space, because sometimes I think I said before, sometimes it's the first conversation that someone's had about how they're feeling and what they're experiencing. And it's almost like they are thinking it through themselves whilst they're talking to you. So, you have to be prepared to learn not to try and jump in and, solve things for the person or fix the issue or, come up with ideas too soon, but really to just sort of hold that, listening space, so that they can work through, what's going on in real time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I've noticed that myself from my own interactions with tenants as well. You can see them get more and more comfortable with you over time, which opens up these conversations where, like you said, it might be the first time they've spoken to anyone about anything. So yeah, definitely you can't go into it with a judgmental hat on at all. So if you think about your organisation, can you just tell me a little bit about what being a mental health first aider within your organisation, what it means to your organisation?
So yeah, I guess within Islington Council in general, we do have the in kind of our values of just supporting each other and working collaboratively and generally kind of just being someone that's nice and good to work with in terms of within the workplace. A big part of it really is and I should say add also to that kind of having that kind of coaching mentality of we're all working towards betterments of residents and trying to support each other. Within that, of course, mental health is a key part. We do work, unfortunately, housing. It's not like it's not like put your feet up kind of role. Most people working within housing, most people working within housing do have to work pretty hard, and across whether you're working in resident facing or you're working within strategy or wherever you work within housing, I think it is one of those tough roles. So I think it's really important not to shy away from it and really be open to say, actually, you will probably throughout the year have the times where you'll be really low, and actually it's absolutely fine to take time off due to your mental health. I think sometimes we always focus on the physical side of if someone did break their leg, then if they took time off, no one would even bat an eye. But when it comes to taking time off because you generally are depressed or stressed, or I think stress is the number one kind of reason why people go off sick now. So just remembering those things, and actually it's a cultural thing, so kind of keep on repeating it. And of course, there's times of the year where we have mental health months, and we focus on that in particular. But I think it's something where throughout the year we just need to keep on kind of banging on about it, because actually you never know when someone needs to hear that, to say actually it's okay to take time for yourself. I know you have a bunch of things you have to do at work, and you're really passionate about your work, but also you have to look after yourself. Otherwise, you can't support others or look after your team or anyone else really. So yeah.
So how would you say that your role as a mental health first aider creates a supportive workplace? As obviously we mentioned, housing, it can be a challenging environment.
So I often walk around. So I've got my lanyard. I don't have it with me now, but I usually have my lanyard, and it says mental health first aid. Even something as simple as that, where you never know when someone might see that and say, actually, do you mind if I speak to you about something, or something's going on? Or just generally, you may just be more open about speaking about things that are going on. And you may not even realize it actually, because obviously something like a lanyard you just wear and it's second nature really. But yeah, it's really that. And I personally think, openly, kind of talking about things like platforms like this, of course, but also within internal social platforms like Viva Engage, where you have in workplaces. I think, just taking the time to say it's okay to to be feeling this particular way, or knowing where that support is available. I think that's really, really important to do that throughout the year.
Yeah, so I suppose it's about being visible then, isn't it? And encouraging your colleagues and anyone that wants to speak to you to come forward. Would you say the same kind of thing, Acacia?
Yeah, very much so. Within GCH, there's just a small group of us that are mental health first aiders on top of the day job. So as well as being that point of contact that people can come and speak to and, do the signposting and stuff like that, it's definitely about championing mental well-being. So we will, promote various awareness days. We've done things like, sessions in the office where people can come along and, you know, do some crafts or join in with conversations and things like this. So very much about normalizing the conversation around mental health, driving the conversation in the Teams channels, or, you know, just making it, you know, reducing the stigma really, and keeping it part of the conversation that is woven into the fabric of the organization.
Yeah, I think we've definitely come a long way with trying to remove the stigma around mental health, but there's obviously still a way to go in completely removing that. What would you say to anyone that's thinking of becoming a mental health first aider? Acacia, we'll go with you first.
I would say if you're thinking about it, then do it, because if you're at the point of thinking about it, then you've probably, you know, got that interest, you've already got a level of awareness, possibly because you've been thinking about your own mental well-being. I do think anyone can potentially do the role because the training is very structured. It gives you the, you know, the skills and the approach that you can apply in different situations. So yeah, it's not really a matter of personality type or anything like that. You know, as long as you can listen, you know, be that calm presence for the person, you know, be prepared to keep learning as well, kind of keep on top of, you know, who can I signpost to? What are the resources we have available in the organisation or the community? You know, if you're prepared to do that, I think the more people that are willing to step up and do the role, then that, you know, the more the better.
Yeah. Okay. And Patrick?
Yeah, I definitely agree. The more the better. I think just personally as well, just obviously outside of the workplace, I think the training also offers a lot of good just life skills because you never know. You may need that with your friends, you may need that with your family. So there's that aspect as well, actually, of just it's just a good kind of life skill of remembering not to listen non-judgmentally. Remember that actually you don't always have the solutions, and sometimes even with the best intentions, actually sometimes it's better just to direct it to a professional who is, of course, you know, that's what they're there to do. So yeah, I think there's that bit as well, and I think generally speaking. Yeah, we need more people just to be part of this kind of goal, really, of just trying to get more people to speak about it. And then in the future, ideally, yeah, it's not so much of a taboo to say, yeah, I'm going off work because of this, or actually I'm really feeling down right now. Can I take the day off or something, you know? So there's not really a taboo to ask that, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's a couple of organisations that I'm certainly aware of, and they have like mental health days, like one a month, is what I've heard in the past, and I think that was quite good, and that's possibly something that maybe more organisations could look to introduce as a way of supporting staff with their own mental health. Going back to the training, who provided the training? Was it your organisations, or was it like an external body that came in?
So I did my training through Mental Health First Aid England, which is, I think, the main sort of accredited body as a training provider, and they have a whole load of, you know, associate trainers who have got the skills and the certification to deliver that training. So, you know, people have the option to do that in person or online. I've done my initial training and my refresher training online. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know that you can do it online, and I suppose it would make it more accessible, perhaps for more people having that option.
Yeah, it works quite flexibly, and you know, I think initially I thought, you know, how will something like this work online, because you know, you're really getting quite personal with people. Everyone's talking a lot about, you know, their own experiences and reflecting, and you know, how do you build rapport with people. But actually, when people start opening up and being really honest about this stuff, you know, the barriers come down. And you know, the groups I've been with have been, you know, very, very mixed groups of people, but everyone was, you know, really engaged. You know, time flies on the course, actually. There's an awful lot of content to get through, and lots of sharing. So yeah, it works quite well to do it remotely.
That's good to hear. And what about you, Patrick?
Yeah, actually, so the first time was online, actually. I think it was during that COVID period. So the first time I did it was definitely online. And yeah, similar thing of actually you think it's such a sensitive topic that you may not be able to have that connection, but actually you can do. And I think it was provided directed by the mental health first aider kind of thing. The second time actually was it was internal, and the person working within the council is actually a qualified instructor. So
Okay.
it was actually so kind of licensed mental health first aid instructor. So so the second time was in internal, and then actually that was in person, and of course different experience, but also really good. And you do have to of course do it every, similar to first aid, you have to do it
Yeah.
every, is it 3 years, I believe, something like that. But yeah, I think it's something that similar to first aid. I think I will look to do it again when mine runs out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you both for certainly sharing your experiences. Just got some quick fire questions just to finish. Do you prefer customer facing or office work?
Ooh, can I be greedy and say a bit of both, please?
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an ambivert, so I would get bored doing one or the other all of the time. I need a mixture.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Patrick?
Yeah, I'm quite similar, but I do, if I had to, if I was pushed, I would probably say resident customer facing, because I do enjoy that side of work, and it's probably one of the key reasons I go into housing in the first place. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do like that bit.
Okay, good. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Ooh. I've got two kids, so I think I can't really say.
So they
I don't
dictate
have to
what you are.
say. Yeah, I don't have to say really not being an early bird, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
naturally, if that wasn't a case, I'd probably say I'm a night owl. Yeah.
Yeah. And you, Acacia?
Yeah, I'm a night owl. I really envy early birds. I think the times when I manage to get up early and there's something lovely about moving through the world when no one else is about, it's definitely the best bit of the day. But yeah, my brain and body just doesn't want to go there, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And do you prefer, are you a coffee genie or are you a tea guy, Patrick?
Coffee definitely,
Coffee.
but probably trying to reduce the coffee at the moment. But yeah, I'm leaning more probably into the peppermint side. But naturally, yes,
Okay.
coffee. Yeah, coffee at the
Okay,
moment.
we're going bougie. And
Yeah.
Acacia, what about you? Tea or coffee?
Oh, tea for the win. Yeah,
Tea.
buckets and buckets and buckets of tea for me, please. But
Yeah.
probably unhealthy amounts, to be honest. But yeah, it's my
We need to
go-to.
do what we have to do to help us get through the day, so no
Totally.
judgments. And where would you rather be in 5 or 10 years' time? In a similar role to what you're in just now, or working upwards to the career ladder? And obviously you do mental health as a kind of side role. How do you want to see that progress within the next 5 to 10 years?
You know what? I've always So part of course, I got my day-to-day work, but on the side, I also do like work within men and mental health. So we have events where we bring men together to kind of watch a film, kind of based on masculinity or mental health or fatherhood or friendship, but
Okay.
some kind of film to kind of get you kind of thinking and talking. And we have some food together, and we kind of discuss the film, but also discuss kind of what's going on in our lives, and kind of open the space up for people just to talk about how they're feeling. So that's something I do just as a volunteer on a monthly basis. But I would love to be able to do more of that kind of work, of course, and do that in the future. Probably not full time, but definitely kind of carrying on that work. So I would say probably more so doing more of that work as well, but also probably as you do, climbing up the career ladder as well,
Yeah.
probably. So trying to do both somehow, really.
Yeah. Okay. And you, Acacia?
I think probably a similar type of role. I absolutely love what I do in L&D. It's
Yeah.
it's really varied. I think the whole landscape of training and learning is evolving all the time. So yeah, there's plenty to learn. So I think I'll stick.
Yeah. It's lovely to hear you both so enthusiastic about your roles. It's really refreshing. So thank you. So thank you to both Acacia and Patrick. If you've been inspired to learn more about becoming a mental health first aider, speak to your organisation or search for mental health first aider online for your nearest training provider. Thank you for listening, and tune in to our next podcast on the CIH website or YouTube channel.